Simon Salad and I saw Nymphomaniac Volume 1. It is directed and written by Lars von Trier, and if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. By the way, review of Volume 2 out on fansly.com/itsmintsalad. You can check it out there. On with the review. This movie is pretty much just this. We got two people, they're talking to each other. One is asexual, the other one is a nymphomaniac, and they're talking to each other about their sexual past. We're exploring this lady's journey into becoming a nymphomaniac. She first achieved orgasm when she was very young, and then she had competitions with her friends to have sex with as many strangers as possible. This is something I cannot relate to. Look, I lost my virginity when I was 18 years old. This lady seemed like she lost her virginity when she was 13 years old and then has had sex with a lot of different types of people since. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to shame you for this. I'm just going to explain that I don't relate, at all. I don't relate to this at all. So it's an interesting study. I'm learning more about this lady as she talks, and we're also learning not really much about the guy who's interviewing her, even though we learn a tiny bit, he is asexual, he doesn't understand what the heck's up with sex. He's not interested in it whatsoever. He's interested in other things. And I'm like, I get shy, go guy, you go guy. But have you seen this heart-shaped log? I just thought it was important for you to see it before we continue on this review. This movie is very paced slow. It is so slowly paced. There are parts where I'm like, yeah, I appreciate the discussion. It's like, they're not even trying to persuade each other to be on the other person's side. So it's like, okay, why are you guys talking then? I don't see a point, really. This kind of reminds me of the Sunset Limited, where it's like two people are talking. But in that movie, it's two diametrically opposed people trying to talk to each other about their opinion. And it seems like in that movie, the religious guy is trying to coax the suicidal guy out of suicide. In this movie, it's not really that, really. It's just a nymphomaniac who's tired of men trying to just use her for sex after hearing, oh wow, you're a nymphomaniac? Let's just have a ton of sex. She feels like she has to have all the sex in the world, but she's just trying to have somebody to listen to her. It'd be interesting if they were to have a debate. If the asexual guy was trying to shame her, then it'd be more loud, but then the movie wouldn't continue at all. I mean, there's a little bit of that where the asexual guy is like, why do you feel like this? Why do you feel the need to have sex? She's just like, I need all of my holes filled to the brim with lots of cum. And I'm just like, okay, you can do that. The movie structure is a lot of talking between the two of them and then some flashbacks to her having some sex, and oh boy, there's a lot of it. I watched the unrated version, so I saw a lot of insertion. It was pretty much just pornography, and I was looking at it, I'm like, man, I see it. I see the sex happening in front of me. This is not arousing whatsoever. I mean, this movie doesn't really have a tone of arousing. It's more of a tone of exploring a human psyche and trying to explore the human psyche of a nymphomaniac. I get it. I get the need to just expel whatever you have to say to this guy, the first guy who will listen, and that's the movie. I mean, I like that idea. I just think it's really slow. And the way it was done, it's a lot of discussions, sure. I just feel like this movie should have been cut in half. Just, I don't know. I mean, half of it is sex and half of it is the conversation. And I really feel like the conversation is really, it's important because it fleshes out the character. But I just felt it was a little slow for me. I lost attention and I had to pause it and then force myself to watch it. Like, I watched about half of it and then I paused it and I was like, I'm done with this for now. And then I watched the second half of it and I'm like, okay, cool, this is awesome. Yeah, I finished volume 1 of Nymphomaniac, and then I'm like, okay, for the NSFW really sexy version of this, of volume 2, how long is this movie? And it was 3 hours. I'm like, what could possibly be going on for 3 hours? But no, this is a movie that's 2.5 hours. So as once I saw the 3 hour mark, I was like, this is utter, I don't know if it's torture, but I mean, I don't really care that much about her. She's not like a person I'm rooting for actively. She's all right, I guess. She seems like not like a good person. I'm not rooting for her much, honestly. I'm actually surprised as how she didn't get pregnant at all during all of her sex that she was having with all these men that she was having it with. I didn't see any condoms being used. Like, how are there guys just have their pullout game to be the strongest in the world and you're having sex with all of those guys? Like, what? How do you not get pregnant with all the sex that's happening? So anyway, this was an alright movie, too slow for me. I liked the look into the human psyche, but it's too long. It's too long for it to be done this midly. I mean, it's high mid, yeah, but it's too long for how good the performances are. The entire movie performance is just so mellow. I think this is supposed to contrast it with like the moans and such, like yeah, versus they're talking real low and slow and droning on constantly and just I guess it's a contrast. I mean, I like contrasting things, but there's a lot droning on with the dialogue. So I gotta give this movie, it's a solid 6. Well, first of all, if the can situation were bigger, I would totally give this movie a bigger number. But because of her tits were pretty small, I gotta give this movie a solid 6.6 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The platform really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 Redinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, go to this link tree. Find the way you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movie reviews. So you go here. And until next time, mint salad sauce, you like to my salad croutons and bacon bits.